My name is Jim Barksdale, and as the interim director, my first goal the governor asked me to do was to find a replacement that is a permanent director. And I just want you to know that I think we will have that accomplished within the next few weeks. We had legislation finished yesterday that if the governor signs it, which I think he will, since it was his bill, we will have a pay package for the person. We've gotten non-competitive lately with other southeastern states. We've come up with a way that's both public funding as well as private funding through a nonprofit foundation. We're not talking about a great deal of extra money in this case, so I don't think it should hurt anybody or offend anybody or make people think, well, they're going to buy off whoever this guy is, so he'll be for oil or gas or a region or something like that. It'll work out fine, trust me. Now, in my role as interim director for whatever it's been now, almost 90 days, I've learned a lot. One of the things I've learned is how hard and effective MDA is. I'd not known that much about it. I mean, we all remember Leland running it, and Grace Swope, and then Leland before. And I'll tell you, I've been very impressed. These people get after it, and they're highly regarded throughout the state. I've now visited with, I don't know, individually maybe 100 different businesses in this state, talking just, directly. And I always ask, did they do, your MDA people have done a great job. They've helped us this, that, and the other. And, so I've come away with a very high appreciation for the effectiveness and the efficiency of this group of people. They're hardworking. They know their stuff. We can always do things better, of course, but I think you're getting your money's worth, your tax money's worth from MDA, and they also work very effectively, and we're working to make it even more effectively with groups like MEC and the Mississippi Manufacturers Association and those kind of people, because that's an important adjunct to the work of MDA. Their job, of course, is to create economic opportunities for Mississippians. I mean, that's our charter. We also all know that government can't create jobs. I mean, other than maybe government jobs. But it does seem to be an effective way to incentivize businesses to create jobs. We're going to talk a little about it. In the last year, from April of last year to April of this year, and I'm going to try to talk over whoever that is talking behind me. Can y'all hear this other group? Are they friend or foe? Okay. I'm going to focus on you guys. The last year, MDA assisted business recruitment, retention, and expansion projects that announced over the last 12 months were generating approximately $2.1 billion in new investment in the state, creating roughly 3,800 new jobs from those that MDA worked with assisting, and retaining more than 1,200 employees, which is a very important thing in this day and time, given the recession. By the way, last month's unemployment rate, not March, February, we'll get March's numbers, I think, next Friday. We had reduced the state's unemployment rate, everybody, not MDA, everybody. We'd reduced it by 1 full percentage point, gotten it down below 10%, made great progress, and we no longer are second worst in the nation. We're like 6th worst. Hey, we moved ahead of North Carolina. What's the lowest unemployment state in the nation? North Dakota. Who would have thunk it? What's the highest unemployment rate in the nation? State. No, Michigan's up there. Nevada. Focused on one industry, gaming, and it's had a big hit. The governor announced his agenda in his State of the State address, and I work for the governor, and my job is to implement the governor's agenda. I told him I hadn't worked for anybody in 25 years, but I'm figuring out how to do it, and I think he's got a very good agenda. He concentrated on two things, health care and energy. there were many other things in the state of the state, obviously, that are important. One was public education. We're not going there this morning very much. Here's the thing. If you look at the blueprint recommendations and you look at those wonderful bubble charts or whatever you call them in there that ranks us with the 13 states with whom we compete, with which we compete. With whom? With which? A state is not a human person, right? Made up of people. Mitt Romney may think they're people, but we're in the middle in a lot of these areas. We're not dead last in all of them. I hope you've read the blueprint report. It's an excellent piece of work. All of you probably participated in it. But if you look at the big industries that are moving fast in this state, it's energy and it's medical. There's some other big industries, they're just not moving fast. And like somebody once told me, and I told a group recently, if you want to be a leader, find a parade and jump in front of it. These are two parades. They're forming up without us, or with us, or however you want to look at it. Let's get in front of them. Energy and healthcare. I'm going to talk about a couple of other industries here that we work on at MDA very hard and are having great results, but those are the two big ones. At MDA, we've refocused our attention on energy, reorganizing our own energy division, now known as the Energy and Natural Resources Division. And we think we're making great progress. We work with policymakers, agency partners to develop and advance a comprehensive energy policy for the state. Mississippi was recently ranked by a Canadian business development publication as the #1 state for energy in the United States in terms of its role in helping energy companies and its opportunities for energy development of all types, biomass as well as carbon. Biomass is carbon. You know what I'm talking about. Above the ground, below the ground. How about that? And we have a renewed commitment to work with industry partners promoting Mississippi as a primary location for energy projects and also to pursue new opportunities, which there are several in this state, I'll mention. We have significant energy assets in the state already. We're home to Chevron's largest U.S. refinery down in Pascagoula, an absolutely phenomenal partner for this state. Great people, great product, and they love their workforce. We're going to come to that later. Chevron Pascagoula is the most efficient refinery in all of the Chevron system. The most efficient refinery. They have great working relationships with their community college, with their wind center, and with other people supporting them. But it's a wonderful asset for this state. Onshore oil and gas production, especially our tertiary oil reclamation efforts, are yielding great opportunities. Now with the injection of carbon dioxide, we're doubling the output or increasing by 50% in many cases the output of the original wells, so we're reclaiming a lot of our wells. We have an extensive pipeline infrastructure in Mississippi. Most people don't realize it. We can move a lot of product through this state. A number of companies have located or announced location in Mississippi to use our biomass resources, the new type of energy, green energy production. Biofuel producer, Keor, is constructing a biofuel plant in Columbus. It'll be the first of 5 plants in the state. The whole issue with Keor, they take wood or cellulosic products, waste from forestry or grasses or pine trees or chips or whatever, they take it all, put it in there, and through this amazing process do in seconds what Mother Earth took millions of years to do underground with pressure and heat. And they can produce, with a secondary process right there at the plant, gasoline that's the same gasoline you burn in your car. We're not talking about some additive or something that, may clog up your lawnmower. No offense. It's gasoline and it's diesel fuel right out of the plant. It's an amazing process. The issue is, can they get to scale? This plant will produce 15 million gallons of gasoline, 15 million in a year. The next one will be 33 million, the one we just announced down outside of Natchez. So we're all anxious. The plant just this week is finishing the construction. So in the next few weeks, they're going to start into production. It's quite exciting. It's a big facility, and it's a great employer. Wood pellets are now being produced in Amory and Wiggins. Wood pellets. Who would have known? Europe has denuded their forests. Everybody's got to be green in Europe. They're importing wood pellets from the United States to burn in energy plants to produce electricity. We got a lot of wood pellets to sell them. Our forestry cover is actually 20% ahead of what it should be in a fully forested state. So we're not talking about cutting down everything in the woods. Don't get nervous. We're just going to keep it at that level. And by the way, you burn a tree, you plant a tree. So it reclaims the same amount of carbon dioxide as it lost. An amazing process is why they can call it green. The only non-green part of this industry is the fuel it takes to get the truck with the chips to the plant because it burns diesel fuel. HCL Cleantech will be making, with wood input, wood products, 3 large-scale production plants in the state will use our pine resource to produce sugar for industrial products. Another very creative new type of energy, environmentally clean, not tricked up, not using government subsidies. These are great new industries for our state. We have a huge amount of forest that can be used for this, forest and non-used agricultural land now, reclaimed agricultural land that we can put to use by growing new age grasses developed at Mississippi State or other types of products on these areas. This is a great opportunity, one that we're all behind. Scientists believe we have significant offshore natural gas resources. We must responsibly develop, the word here is responsibly develop these resources like our neighboring states are, Alabama and Louisiana, who do allow this kind of drilling offshore. We're going to be behind or south of the Barrier Islands. The wells will be way out in the Gulf. They will not be eyesores, but we're going to, MDA is responsible and have produced the plan of how you apply for those permits, which we were charged with the legislature to do. We've now produced that. We've gotten comments. We've put them out in place, and we hope to be issuing seismographic permits here in the near future to see if there is any gas out there or oil. It could be a great opportunity for us. Imagine the new jobs, imagine the work boats that get out to them, the people employed in that part of the industry, the employees themselves, the opportunities for the Gulf Coast for new jobs, and Lord knows America needs the energy. Makes us more energy independent. It's controversial, I know that, but I think we're going to do this in the right way and protect the environment and still take advantage of this. Then in Southwest Mississippi, we have found enormous opportunity with this Meridian shale, Tuscaloosa, Meridian shale, that there are a lot of people down there getting permits for those land properties down there where they're overrunning our county clerk's offices in several places. That's good. And we're going to see. It could be an enormous find, just like North Dakota. Different shale, but it's the same idea. We need to use and build on these, our already existing assets. Another one that I was at yesterday, the Stennis facility. How many of y'all have been on the Stennis property down there and see what all they're doing? Everybody assumes they just test rocket engines. Well, they do test rocket engines. They also testing commercial rocket engines. We saw some made by private industry for private exploration of space and transporting. But they do, of course, that. But there are many other things down there. We visited several marvelous new plants. Rolls-Royce is testing their jet engines that go on the Boeing Dreamliner, the 380. We saw different plants that build some of these engines that are private companies. We saw one of the most enormous computer centers I've ever seen that is there for Homeland Security, that they do a great job, that have a wonderful asset there. And by the way, they have some empty space if any people are looking for some big computer room space. It's a marvelous facility and a great asset, and we plan to work on that more and more. Now, all of these assets, and we're growing. Exports are up 33% in the last year. We're trying at MDA to help businesses in all areas, but the one thing my travels have taught me what do we need to do going forward? What could we do if we do it correctly? What could we do as MDA and as the business community and as government agencies to really move the needle? Everybody I talk to throughout the state, it's two words: workforce development. They need more workers, qualified, certified workers. You go out here to Nissan. Nissan loves their workforce, got a great number of workers, but they're always running short of certain skills. It's one thing to build a car, it's another thing to repair the dadgum air conditioning system for the building. They need, HVAC technicians and advanced welders and people that can maintain their electrical systems out there. Building cars is one thing. These are skills that we can provide from our community colleges and others to provide to them. We have to do a better job. My travels have convinced me that the main thing we can do here, and as I like to say, is keep the main thing, is workforce development. If you want to put all the wood behind one arrow, that's the arrow you'd put it behind. I know it's a boring subject to most people, and I didn't know that much about it when I was in private business. But it is something that can be done that will have enormous benefits for this state. And get them ready before the plant decides to come. You want to be able to go like Georgia did to Caterpillar 2 weeks ago and say, here are the 5,200 certified workers if you come to Georgia. They have a great workforce development plan in Georgia. The guy who wrote it and developed it, and where is he now? Louisiana hired him. He's building the same kind of plan. We don't need to do all that. It's in writing. Just read it and implement it. Quick story, and I'll conclude. When I was at FedEx in the mid-'80s, we were troubled by the fact we were growing like a weed. Our service level was always high, 98, 99%. That's the way we measured it back then. But then we realized we have to do better, because when you're delivering 10,000 packages a day at 99%, you're only offending 100 people. But you get to 1 million packages, you're irritating every man, woman, and child within the year. All right? So we developed a thing we call the hierarchy of horrors. It's the beginning of our quality improvement program. We were very honest with ourselves. What are the 10 things that you can do that will really tick off a customer? 10 mistakes you can make. Late package, of course. How about package on the wrong day? That's even worse. How about a package that's busted? How about a call to the call center to handle a billing problem that you got to call back 3 times? How about losing a package? That counted as 10 points. All right. We developed a system with an automated way of actually measuring the delivery times of the package. We call it our trackers, which we developed for that purpose. Took that system, implemented it, worked on it through our quality improvement program, and within 3 years, our service levels had gone up tremendously because every manager was tasked with reducing the absolute failures, not percentages. Percentages kill in a growing business. I never forget the first year, I have all the vice presidents, and I say, here's what we're going to do this year, guys. To earn your bonus, you've got to reduce the absolute failures next year below this number. And they said, but Jim, we're growing at 30%. I said, that's the point. We're going to reduce the absolute failures or you don't get your bonus. That immediately focused their attention. The next year, we reduced absolute failure points by almost 15%. And today, Federal Express still runs within that range, even though it's now moving 4 million express packages a day. Now, folks, that's quality improvement. So much so that by 1989, we were the first service company in history to win the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award, because they were so impressed by this effort. All we did, which is what I suggest for workforce development, take your best practices and let everybody else copy them, and then come up with a good measurement system that tracks it and enforces it. The problem with workforce, one of the major problems, is it's inconsistent. We depend greatly on our community colleges and our WIN centers. You go around, some do a better job, as you would expect, than others. Let's get them all up to that level. Let's measure the output like the state's board that is working on this, that we in Blueprint talked about. And I think If we do, that's the State Workforce Development Board plan, which this quarter, Blueprint's supposed to have it codified. Next quarter, third quarter, we're supposed to have it, a short-term plan laid out that will work on these things, quality improvement in workforce development. And then certification of these people, which other states do, we do some. There's a national movement for certification. What do you have to do to be a good welder? Right? What do you have to do to be a good HVAC repairman? And I realize these are sort of middle-level jobs, but they're not full college degrees, but it takes extra education beyond high school. And that brings me to my perennial subject with which I will close. We have to improve our K-12 education system in this state, or we're going to always be in trouble. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the meeting. My commendations to MEC. I'm always amazed I can get these crowds to come together. It shows your interest in economic development in this state. And thank you for being here. Thank you, Scott.